Something inside you is changing and you can't explain it. Your thoughts feel different. Your reactions feel different. Your entire inner world feels like it's rearranging itself without asking for permission. This is the moment people call a spiritual awakening. That strange, unsettling shift where higher consciousness starts becoming your new normal, even though nothing outside you seems to match the change. And if you've been wondering why everything suddenly feels unfamiliar, confusing, or even a little uncomfortable, you're not losing yourself. You're meeting the next version of yourself. The strange feeling begins when your mind starts noticing things it used to ignore. You pick up on energy in a room before words are spoken. You sense intention behind someone's smile. You feel drained by conversations that once felt normal. It's like your intuition got a software upgrade overnight and you didn't get the manual. That's the part no one explains. Awakening doesn't feel peaceful at first. It feels like someone turned up the brightness on your awareness, and now the shadows you used to overlook are suddenly obvious. Your old identity tries to keep up with the shift, but it can't. So you feel stretched, confused, and unusually sensitive. It's like trying to walk in shoes that don't fit anymore. You know something inside you is expanding, but you can't fully describe it. You're not the same person, but you're not the new version yet either. And that in-between stage is where most people start doubting themselves. They think something's wrong, but in reality, it's the first sign that you're waking up to a deeper level of consciousness. The strangeness intensifies when you begin questioning things you never questioned before. You start wondering why you tolerated certain behaviors, why you ignored certain instincts, why you stayed quiet when something inside you wanted to speak. It feels like your mind is rearranging furniture you've had for years, taking out what no longer belongs, dusting off things you forgot existed, and making space for new understanding. You begin seeing your own patterns with a clarity that's both empowering and uncomfortable. You realize that the version of you who survived life isn't necessarily the version who will guide your future. And then comes the emotional shift, the one that hits you unexpectedly. You experience waves of sensitivity, reflection, and introspection you can't always control. One moment you feel incredibly aware and aligned. The next you feel overwhelmed, detached, or deeply introspective. It's not instability. It's the emotional detox that happens when your inner world is trying to match your new level of consciousness. Emotions you pushed aside years ago suddenly rise to the surface, but this time, instead of running from them, you're ready to understand them. That is the quiet power of awakening. It forces you to face yourself honestly for the first time. The strangest part is how the people around you start feeling different too. Not because they changed, but because you're finally seeing them clearly. You notice who drains your energy, who supports your growth, who only liked you when you were smaller, quieter, more manageable. You become aware of subtle dynamics, the unspoken expectations, the silent judgments, the emotional habits you used to ignore. It becomes impossible to pretend you don't see them. And that clarity can feel isolating at first, like you're standing outside the world you used to fit in. You start craving solitude, not because you dislike people, but because your mind needs space to reorganize. Silence becomes comforting. Alone time becomes healing. You feel pulled toward reflection instead of distraction, depth instead of noise, intentional living instead of autopilot. It shocks you how peaceful you feel when you disconnect from the chaos, almost like your inner world is trying to build a new foundation every time you step back from the world. And that's when you realize that silence isn't empty. It's full of answers you never slowed down long enough to hear. The physical world feels different too. You notice timing, coincidences, synchronicities, patterns in your life that feel oddly meaningful. You start recognizing when something is off before you have proof. Your mind becomes more alert, your awareness sharper, your perception wider. It feels foreign because you're operating from a higher level of consciousness, but your old habits are still active. It's like waking up in a familiar room, but suddenly noticing details you never saw before. The environment didn't change, your awareness did. There's also a strange pull, almost like your life is trying to guide you in a new direction, but it speaks in subtle signals instead of clear instructions. You feel drawn toward new interests, new perspectives, new environments. You lose interest in things that once excited you. You outgrow certain conversations without warning. Your intuition starts steering you faster than your logic can explain, and that disconnect between what you feel internally and what makes sense externally is one of the most confusing parts of awakening. But here's the twist most people don't talk about. Awakening feels strange because you're not breaking down, you're breaking open. Every uncomfortable feeling is a sign that the old version of you is outgrowing itself. Every moment of confusion is a doorway to a new perspective. Every emotional wave is your mind releasing outdated energy. Every moment of solitude is your consciousness expanding. You're not losing your mind, you're upgrading it. The strangeness is actually a sign of alignment. Your inner world is moving ahead faster than your outer world can adjust, so everything feels misaligned for a while. But slowly you start noticing shifts. Conversations become clearer, choices become easier, and life begins to feel more intentional. You stop chasing things that drain you. You stop fighting for validation. You stop living based on other people's expectations. You begin creating your own path instead of following the one handed to you. You start operating with a level of clarity that surprises even you. When someone's energy doesn't match your values, you feel it instantly. When something no longer aligns with your growth, you outgrow it naturally. When a situation feels wrong, you sense it before it unfolds. Your awareness becomes your navigation system, guiding you toward people, environments, and decisions that align with your higher consciousness. You're not becoming sensitive, you're becoming selective. The more you awaken, the stranger the world feels because you're no longer seeing it through old filters. You're seeing it through the eyes of someone who finally understands themselves. And that's where the true transformation begins. You start making choices based on your inner alignment, not pressure. You begin responding instead of reacting. You build connections based on depth instead of convenience. You set boundaries with calm confidence. You move through life with a quiet sense of purpose that doesn't need outside approval. Life begins to feel less like a chaotic series of events and more like a guided transition. You feel yourself stepping into a new chapter, one where clarity and awareness shape every decision. The strange feeling eventually turns into a sense of empowerment. You realize that the confusion, isolation, and emotional intensity were simply the growing pains of becoming conscious, aware, and aligned. You understand that the discomfort didn't come to hurt you. It came to prepare you. And even though the process felt strange, something inside you feels lighter, stronger, and more grounded. You feel like you're coming home to yourself after being away for years. You begin trusting your instincts without needing external confirmation. You allow yourself to let go of what you've outgrown, even when it's difficult. You embrace the idea that not everyone is meant to go with you into your next chapter. And for the first time, that feels okay. The world doesn't change, you change. And because of that, your entire experience of life changes with you. That's why awakening feels strange. It requires you to walk through the unfamiliar in order to reach the clarity waiting on the other side. If everything in your life feels unfamiliar right now, it's not a sign that you're lost, it's a sign that you're evolving. You're stepping into a higher level of awareness, and your inner world is simply adjusting to the upgrade. The confusion is temporary. The clarity is permanent. And as you grow into this new version of yourself, life will begin aligning with you in ways that finally make sense. If this connected with you, thank you for watching until the end. Like and subscribe. Your growth is real, and your journey is just beginning.